Today, our big guest, I suppose, as we're going to call him, is Richard Hibbard. Richard is a kitchen company man in his own right, and he owns and is the managing director of KSL Kitchens and Bathrooms. But also he holds the national chair role for the KBSA. So I think Justin Berry is on the call, and he is our national chair, so he's joining us as well. So Richard holds the same position as Justin does for us here in South Africa. And we're very privileged to have you guys, and thank you for taking the time all the way out from the UK, just to give us some insight into the UK market and the kind of trends that you are experiencing and seeing happening over there. So I'm going to hand myself over, but guys, there is the chat facility, please. There is a Q&A at the end. Richard and Alistair are both available to answer questions if you have any, and please don't be shy. We would like this to be interactive, and you don't often get the chance to pick the brains of someone in the same industry overseas, so please use the opportunity. And feel free to pop your questions in the chat facility, and we will pose those to Richard and Alistair once they have finished their presentation. So, right, Richard, over to you.
Morning. Thanks, Stephanie. Appreciate that. Just want to say, as it's already been introduced, my name's Richard. I'm now, as we hit September, 20 years in the industry. A few people say I only look 11 still, but I am 37, so I've got 27 years in the 20 years in the industry now, working from the family business KSL. Questions wise, throw anything out of the suite. We don't mind. Kitchens, bedrooms, bathrooms, the association support. We're quite a positive bunch. So probably won't look too much on Brexit or COVID, but if you've got any questions, then please throw it out to us. Okay, a quick hello from everyone else from the KBSA who can't be here. So we're made up of a board who run the association. So it's nice. The board is made up of the retailers. So it's it's for the people, by the people, as it is, non-for-profit. Alistair is the one with the lovely wave at the bottom, if you can't see his video. I'm in the middle, you can probably tell, and we've got our CEO, Uwe Hannick, who's just to the side of me with a bow tie. So that's us, and the rest of it is made up of our board members. We're 42 years old now. And we're very similar to you guys, really. It's all about the independent, supported by corporates. We've got a large offering of corporates, and speaking to Stephanie, it seems that a lot of the corporates over your side are very similar to ours. Some big ones and some small ones. And the main focus for us, though, is our retail memberships. So this won't be a pretentious talk. I'm very down to earth. I'm not into I call it a little bit floaty. I prefer to talk about real things. So we'll probably stick to the middle market in the UK, that sort of thing. We won't go too high, we won't go too low. I'm going to give you a quick overview of some figures in the UK. And then we'll go straight into what design wise is current really with us, and see how it aligns with you guys, see what's coming, and go from there. So I'll go into the UK market now. So for us, it's just over 1.2 million kitchens sold, and that was in 2019. And so that equates on the kitchen side to a £4.5 billion market. It's dominated by a handful of major players in the UK. As probably any market has, the DIY market is big. We've got a company called Howdens in the UK, which business model is trade only, supplying the white van man, as we will call it in the UK, someone without showroom really, a carpenter, builders use it a lot, send their customers. There's a specific model to entice them in to make money out of that kitchen sale. Independents, there's about 3,000 of us. Independents classed with a showroom really. So a proper bricks and mortar independent business. But we only have 12% of that market. Now, luckily, it's a very big market. And value-wise, we're picking up 30% of that market. So although we're quite small on the volume, probably more importantly, we hold nearly a third of the value of the whole industry, which is amazing, really. And in the UK, the refurbishment market is about 70% of that. The rest is made up by new build and social housing. But obviously the major side is either need or want to refurbish that kitchen. And as an independent, again, good or bad, there's always been a saying in the UK that an Englishman's home is his castle. And it works the same in business, in the fact that we can, as an independent, in a way, we rule over our business, which is true in a way, because it's our decisions that make up our business and how we want to do things. But the real benefit of an independent is our flexibility and our ability to change quickly. So whether that's with the market, with COVID coming around, being able to adapt. Generally speaking, we haven't got a massive staff load, so we can be a bit more nimble. But trends wise, it's very easy for us to introduce new trends, new products as an independent. So I believe that's one of the things that steps us ahead of the competition and the volume market. And I personally always try and stay ahead of those markets. Lately, I've been doing quite a lot in changes to the showroom. We just started yesterday taking part of the showroom out so we can put some new products in. So a lot of what I'm going to talk to you about today is what I've been looking at over the last couple of months in trends in the UK and what's popular in the UK, I guess, in a way, through the middle market. It's not the mass volume, but it's a big part of the market. When people ask me what's popular at the moment, normally my answer is matte, and matte, mainly because gloss has white gloss kitchens were always the volume seller. They possibly are in the lower end still and in the volume market, but gloss has really died a death. I think partly due to cleaning, ease of clean, but the matte finish is huge in the UK. Probably started gaining momentum about 5 years ago now. I remember some of the shows we went to where everything was matte, and we thought, you know, well, here we go. Whether it was good or not, it's certainly become part of the market. Another part of it, which I'll talk about a bit later, is the same really. Matte started off, I'm looking at some notes I made. We had semi-matte, then we had soft matte, then we had matte, and now we've got super matte. And that's kind of how it's gone over the last few years. Everyone's trying to develop a new matte finish. And some of the products coming out of Europe now on the matte laminates and the super matte laminates are exceptional for the money as well. The hard wearing, the super smooth finish, being able to create a paint finish almost without the use of paint, so it's a lot more hard wearing. Obviously the use of laser edging and things like that have made it a lot easier to produce doors with that matte, clean, crisp finish on the edge. But I mean, matte is huge, and to the point I've got no gloss in my showroom whatsoever, even before this latest change. and we're not planning to put anything on. What we've got up here on the screen here is a German kitchen. Matte again is dominated in there. Pops of colour is coming through at the moment, but you can see how Europe likes a bit of 2 or 3 tone. I guess you've got in there. There's not a massive amount of kitchens we do that's only 1 colour, and so this is quite current. These are with the pocket doors, so the colours are generally behind the doors. So I'd still class this as a 2-tone kitchen. But matte is a massive trend in the UK. Stephanie was telling us you still do quite a lot of gloss there, and whether that's going to go over the next few years and matte's going to take over, probably more in the mid to higher end market. It certainly will quicker than the lower end market. Stained timber is another big trend. You see again, you've still got matte. Whether we've got a stained timber or another surface, matte still seems to come in with most. So we've got, this is a matte painted handleless, and again handleless is pretty normal now throughout every market, even the mass market now in some form. The stained timber, we're finding mostly oak in the UK. We do like a bit of oak, but stained timber, this is anthracite oak. Again, the grey, you can see the grey finishes coming through, but anthracite oak, very, very popular. There's a lot of black stained, as the darker kitchens have got more popular. Smoked stone, you know, so many finishes, and it opens up a lot of possibilities. You're almost creating sort of fantasy timbers, and what they did with veneers over the years of trying to create veneers that were on trend. They're pretty much doing that with woods now without having to paint them. So again, they're a bit more hard wearing. Tonally, they're very nice. And again, it's a big part. Whether it's a full kitchen is not normal in that. It's sometimes just elements as you do on any kitchen, but stained timber is certainly a big trend across all markets. And I'll say as well that comes into the laminate side of things as well. So when we look at laminates, obviously, when customers come to buy the kitchen, the aspirational of say this kitchen, they aspire to this, but their budget doesn't hold to it. There's always now a possibility within the laminate market to pick up the same style of door or the same colour of tone of door, and that's been done really well by UK and European manufacturers. Probably the choice is too high, but it does allow us very much flexibility. And again, over a large corporation where they probably have a set colour palette and set colours because they don't really want too much choice through the market and through their staff really. Obviously as an independent we can be as flexible as anything. So stained timber, but I'll class it through the laminate, sort of copying the stained timber as well. And then kitchens and bathrooms, probably 5-10 years ago, were really pushing in traditional homes. Everyone was going back to a modern, or not going back to, we're going, well, I still want a modern kitchen. I'm going to put a modern kitchen in a traditional house. My sister's house was built in the 1700s, and she wanted a modern kitchen. And that was very popular probably 5-10 years ago coming through. The last few years and very much now, in frame was always at the higher end, but is coming through, and there's a lot of imitation in frame coming in the lower end of the market. But classic contemporaries, I'll probably put it here. It's not too fiddly, it's not ultra traditional. Generally painted, can have wood elements, but generally painted. Smooth or matte in any colour nowadays. It's pretty much all of our suppliers offer a paint to order service, but this maybe not this big on every house, but certainly this style of a classic contemporary is very, very popular through the UK. And having something more in keeping with the home has become is back in huge popularity, and whether that's with everything else that's come through, and the brasses and the other tones, and obviously the marbles are through most brands. I think in South Africa, obviously with companies, you've got the Decton and Cosentino brands, and all the big players, Caesarstone and the like. They're all bringing out these marble tones through their quartzes, through their synth stones. I guess that will come quickly to your market with the bigger brands bringing that through. It seems to be everywhere in our market now, but also plain tops like you see here, very popular. But across every market, it's a ease of upkeep, ease of clean. Is certainly very popular in the UK. Hence, the mat is a lot easier. You don't get your fingerprints and such like. I'll quickly go on to open plan living, because that is, I mean, in other markets in the world, that's pretty popular anyway. In the UK, we're always a kitchen, separate dining room, separate living space, walls between, doors between. When you look back, it seems quite ridiculous that you cook in a small kitchen on your own while your friends are enjoying drinking the wine in the dining room, and then the cook brings the food out, walks through a door, through a corridor, through another door into the dining area to serve the food. Looking back, you almost feel like a hired help rather than part of the party. And the way we live and multi-generational now, open plan living has become part of the way of life. It's the hub of the home. The kitchen was always the hub of the home, but more now with the open plan living, you pretty much live in this space. And that's even come through into new builds who were very, probably on the value side, that they were looking at how many rooms are in the house and looking at value, but that's pretty much all gone nowadays. That you look at a house based on the kitchen space, and it's probably one of the most important spaces in the home, and being connected in through this is imperative really in the UK. So we've also talk a little bit about materials and colour in a minute. I'm not sure what you're seeing on trend side, but through bathrooms a lot, but also through kitchens, brushed brass, probably with the tones and the colours that are coming through, the marbles, the blues and the greens. Brushed brass is perfect for that. In the UK, our market probably 20, 30 years ago was all polished gold, socket switches, and that moved over to stainless steel and chrome probably for the last 20 years. But pops of finish, pops of metallics are coming back, and coppers have been popular. Any metallic really, you've got gunmetal and stainless and chrome, and pops of that metallic and pops of marble are very popular materials, but we're finding brushed brass, this knurled finish on things are very, very popular. Grain doors, as you can see here, are very, very popular, even in the contemporary kitchens now. So there's a lot of contemporary grain doors. I mean, hiding beautiful timber behind paint. We'd normally do it in MDF in the UK if we were going to smooth paint, but timber and seeing that grain pattern is very, very popular, even to the point where we're now enhancing that grain and wiring it a lot. especially the dark colours. It allows the grain to come through. Materials wise, on dark finishes, more like you see here, a dark kitchen, brass tones, marble, almost as an epitome of what's popular at the moment. The beauty of the UK market at the moment is in some ways it's a beauty, in other ways it's hard work for the designer, but availability to match things across all sectors is very, very easy these days. There's a lot of PVD finishers on the market locally and nationally who will finish. For us, our boiling water taps and Kuka boiling water taps come in a set amount of finishes, and we're constantly sending Kuka taps to a finisher who recoats them for us, and so pretty much the availability has allowed customers to say, well, I want to base around this handle as we have here, this brush finish, but I want the tap to match, I want the door handle to match, whatever it would be. And it's not a case of just saying close is close enough now. It's I want that finish, but it's very easy for us to do that. Obviously there's a cost involved in some of this, but the actual ability to turn around and the customer said, look, I love the colour of this sample I've got here, whether it be a paint colour, a worktop, a piece they've found in the home. We can scan that and colour that very easily these days, and it's something that allows a lot of flexibility and allows the customer to feel like they've got a complete bespoke kitchen without necessarily going to the price tag. We do a lot of matte painted slab handleless doors, and our German supplier we can either send a product to and they can scan it and have the colour made to it, or we can give them a RAL Sickens NCS colour, and everything within that kitchen, from the rail to the door to the end panel to the internal of the kitchen, can be matched to that person. It could be very specific to them. It could be something that's gone through the family, but the flexibility and availability in the UK is mind-boggling at the moment, I think. But again, on materials, sintered stone, very, very popular. We like to take things on early in the UK, and we possibly took it on very early because I don't necessarily think the fabricators were ready for it as much as they could be. They had to treat it very differently. It took a little bit more time, but sintered stone is huge across the UK. Customers love it because they can pretty much take a pan off and straight on the side. It's not scratching, it's very hard wearing, and that's a big driver for customers, even though it's a step up in value. They can see the longevity of the product and the ease for them. Marbles and concretes, again, depending on the customer, are very, very popular across most interior schemes. Micro cements and polished plaster is coming back with a vengeance, and dark is very big in the UK. Dark finishes, not so much through the mahoganies and things, but more the blacks, the anthracites, the stained timbers. But dark is people aren't afraid, probably because of the quality of lighting available these days and the type of lighting available. But dark materials are very, very popular. Grey is the new white is probably something we can say in the UK for sure. It's been a trend for a long time. But grey is pretty much part of almost everything we do now. My staff sort of make fun of me that my house is grey because I've got probably grey through every room. It does allow a lot of pops of colour. It doesn't have to be cold. Tonally, obviously, you can get a lot of warm greys, but this is probably most companies' colour palette when they launch a new range. I see it's like filling in between the greys they don't have. We probably started off with light grey and mid grey, and then we've got black, anthracite, deep grey, dust grey, you know, whatever grey they can find throughout the range, and there'll always be someone who wants a slightly different grey. This just shows the availability. I guess it's crazy now that I'll take my German brand throughout every door, whether it's an acrylic, it's a laminate, it's a paint, it's a stain. There, probably half or more of the colours are a form of grey. It's slightly mind-boggling how different and how many greys are available through the market. But as I said before, it's grey is a brilliant base colour. It's very classy, but also allows for big pops of colour. I mean, you can probably see behind me, there's quite a bit of grey. Still white's popular, but in the matte, if I move mine slightly, I've still got pops of colour in my glass in my office and things, and my desk does light up, so I can choose colour in this. But pretty much any colour I want to choose with grey goes, and that's why it's become, obviously white was the one that went with any colour, and it was a safe choice. But grey these days is massive, and it always makes me laugh when customers are torn between three greys that pretty much look the same, and they'll flip between them, and pretty much if they chose the number 1, number 2, or number 3, they'd be very happy with it. But you know, that shows how much choice there is in the market. But grey is absolutely huge. Colour wise, blue, very deep blues, royal blue, has been popular and still will be. It's another classy finish. Goes well with brass, goes well with the marbles. It's something you'd fit in your home and be happy for years to come. But the big emergence really is green this year, or coming through. A lot of greens. Probably not the greens we've got on screen, but the deeper, I hate to say it, but probably more grey greens. Those sort of finishes coming through are very popular. I think I've got one here. This is a really popular, and you see the pops of pink clays, almost terracottas coming through in the UK market. We're probably not bold enough to put it throughout a whole kitchen. So you can see here with the base colour as the green is very classy. They've got a nice amount of light in the room, and then they've popped in a sort of a blush pink colour, you'd say. Very popular at the moment, and through all interiors. I think kitchens have really, I don't know if that you're finding that across in South Africa, but in the UK, we used to be a little bit on our own on finish wise, and the kitchen market was almost very separate to the rest of the interiors, which when you look back is a crazy thing, because your house wants to flow. Nowadays, trends are running through the entire home, and that includes bedrooms, bathrooms, the hidden spaces. They're very connected through the entire home, and it makes our job a little bit easier, because trends in other areas become popular, and we try and keep up with them. But the focus really is interior trends are coming through all areas now. And again, the bespoke offering still allows flexibility and still allows personality within that. Technology, is quite a big thing for the UK. We love technology. I mean, having that, I mean, this is, in some ways, it's a bit of a shame that, you know, that we're looking at a picture here of people sitting down enjoying some food together, and the phone is still a dominant part of it. It's probably not going to get any better. The phone does so much. I love the little pictures you see with the phone on one side and the fax machine, the computer, the telephone, the camera, the notepad, everything else on the other side, and what this does. But if we talk about the connected home, obviously Alexa in the UK, and connected devices that can connect your devices are very, very popular. They're very available, very low price. They starting at a low price, and I think in the years to come, almost everyone will have some sort of connected device in the home. Across our appliance, a lot of our appliances now are Wi-Fi enabled. That there's a lot of positives to that, and that will come through on the even on the aftercare side of things. Adding new programs, it makes it very flexible. In our own business, we're seeing it may be boys' toys at times, and some of our customers will want to be able to ask Alexa to make him or her a latte, and the coffee machine jumps into life. But realistically, it's at the moment, people don't want to spend too much money on it. The focus is still a beautiful kitchen, but we find that certain products of technology allow us either ease of installation or a better design. Lighting is a massive part of that. So being able to zone the lighting very easily, either on the phone or on a remote control, is a massive part of that. But not just connected product, the technology improvements for us. I think Stephanie said induction isn't massively popular. Maybe what we've heard this morning with some of the power outages and things might be one of the reasons for that. In the UK, electricity is very, very stable. In most areas, you get the odd country zones where they have outages, but generally speaking, electricity is very stable, and induction is a huge, huge part of our market. I would say that the big technology drivers are steam, boiling water taps, and induction. And when we talk induction, by far the biggest trend is venting hobs. It started off with one company, pretty much, and it's so popular that everyone's jumped on it now, and they're on to probably, I know one company is on to phase 3 of their product, and all the others are on at least phase 2. So it's a massively growing market. Venting hobs work really well. You don't seem to get the smells into the room. It creates a pocket over the hob, extracting downwards through the hob itself. We're going to have probably 3 venting products in our showroom across 7 displays, which shows how popular the venting hob is across the markets. I probably sell more venting hobs than I do kitchens these days. A replacement market, and to people that I don't even sell a kitchen to. They've already bought the kitchen, or their lower price kitchen. The builder's doing the kitchen, but they still want this quality venting hob. I can almost tick venting hob and boiling water tap on every kitchen we're looking at. And it is ease of use and quick and technology, but energy efficiency as well. But across that side, technology focuses the mind a lot in the UK, and we do love a bit of technology. I just wanted to talk about this as well. In the UK, a lot of customers want what they want. Sometimes we talk about champagne ideas and lemonade money, and it's probably that's a little bit cruel, because everything's pumped into the market. You know, you want Kuka, you want a venting hob, you want pocket doors, you want brass tones. All of those products is aspirational, and when you do your kitchen, you want the best you can have. And what was happening probably 5 years ago is we were losing customers who came in and wanting something that maybe cost them £50,000, and really their budget was 30, or they wanted to take 30 and their budget was 20, and what that did was either you had a little bit of conflict, or you lost a job, or you had people that were, you know, their aspirations were here and their reality was here, and I guess you're not as 100% happy here as you would be here. And this is probably one of the drivers, but customers are really taking this on and liking this. And I think what that will do is slightly cut when we break up the makeup of a kitchen into, I mean, furniture's like that huge part of it. And I think the furniture's being squeezed a little bit these days to allow for the technology, the upgrades into the sintered stone. But I was talking a couple of months ago to the export managers for a big German brand, and their launch last year was all in price group 0 and 1, so the lower price group. The quality of doors, I guess, with technology and in the manufacturing side, and the availability of laser edging and better laminates has allowed this, but the actual quality of price group 0 doors are amazing. They're super smooth. You haven't got the orange peel sort of finish on them. The edging is invisible, and you don't get any sort of glue lines that you used to get. I mean, we're very happy to sell a price group 0 kitchen. Obviously, on the German side for us, when we go into price group 0, actually finishing the edge of the carcass, the side of the carcass, the plinth is all the same and very low value. And that allows for things like, this is a classic example, this is a price group 0 kitchen. I don't think anyone would be unhappy with a kitchen in price group 0 looking at this. We've got nice appliances, nice sink and tap, nice worktops, nice little features with the shelving. We've got pocket door space, it's all hidden away. And I think that's the driver, really. People want to still sell a kitchen and still sell that aspirational and lower price furniture has allowed the quality to stay high, but customers almost to have everything they want within a good budget. And it's certainly become a big trend across the UK. Obviously, on the higher end of the market, generally speaking, the customers, we don't have those customers that have the money and just want what they want. We're in the mid-market, sometimes the higher market, but this is a big game changer for us. And it's not just the lower price; it's the quality through the lower price of doors. Still the same quality from the manufacturer. The carcass, the drawers, everything else is the same, but the ability to sell a high quality kitchen is very beneficial through the range. And we always like to, in our showroom, put a low price kitchen in and make it look as good as the highest price kitchen we've got. And we make a point of showing our customers the lowest priced door, and it just makes them think that whatever they choose, wherever they go within our market, in our showroom, they're getting something highly designed, high quality, and we care as much for a £5,000 job as we do to a £50,000 job. But certainly the lower price does allow for those aspirational products. Pretty much that is where we are today in the UK. There's obviously a lot of trends. We're very lucky. We are influenced by Scandinavia. The main influences, I would say, Scandinavia, Italy, and Germany, and they're all influenced by each other as well. But we're very lucky in the UK that the availability and the ability to travel and go to shows, all our manufacturers, obviously a little bit stopped at the moment, but a lot of our manufacturers allow us and invite us and always want us to come over. So I would normally go to Europe 4 or 5 times a year to see different suppliers, new products, new trends. We've also got Milan, which is Milan is very much what's coming, but also almost Milan is a show-off of what they can do, and you get little snippets from it, and very much it's very inspirational. As you go through, you can walk through the showrooms of Milan, and then you've got a huge show in Milan. Germany, you have a couple of different shows. We've got a small show in the UK, but the ability for us to travel to those countries, to the suppliers, and to these European-wide shows allows us a lot of inspiration and a lot of trends to be brought back to the UK quite easily. I know from South Africa, obviously, that the ability to travel is a lot harder. I guess your big corporate members are a big driver for trends and new products coming through. So at least you've got the ability for them to bring that to you, and obviously the internet. I use the internet a lot, and I'm looking at what other people are doing, mainly because I want to stay ahead rather than I don't really want to copy other people, but I want to stay ahead. So education is very important to us. And what I mean by education so much is not so much, we obviously A-levels and vocational is very important, but educating ourselves in shows, in traveling to different countries, but traveling within the UK as well, and seeing different products, different people is very important, and that allows us to be at the forefront of what's going on in the design world. And yeah, it's very exciting what's available in the UK and what's readily available, very close to us. And what I've just showed is really what's current, and what's going forward is how the UK market sits. And I guess a lot of it will ring true with you guys as well. But if you've got any questions, move on to that now. If you've got any questions on our market, colours, products, whether that's kitchens, bedrooms, bathrooms, I cover all 3 at our showroom. But also, if you've got anything on the association or how we're tackling COVID or what we can do together, then feel free to chuck some questions out. I'm very happy to answer them. Alistair, I know, will happily answer them as well. But thanks for listening.
Thanks, Richard. Guys, I'm sure some of you must have some questions. It's quite nice for us to see that we're not too far behind the curve. I'm sure a lot of you who are in the manufacturing and designing sector, we're quite pleased to see that you are keeping up with trends, and we are moving in alignment to what the UK is doing. Any questions, or has Richard been so thorough that he has covered anything you might? Right, Kez, I'm going to hand over to you to handle the questions.
There's a question from Stefan and Helen. Do you charge for quotes as the norm? It's interesting that you guys possibly have the same issues that we do in the UK.
Yeah. I did we had an exhibition in March just before lockdown, and I sat on a panel and we sort of did a live feed from there, and we were specifically talking about charging for design. I would say 98% of people don't charge for design in the UK. Unfortunately, when you class us as designers, and I mean, like myself, 20 years in the industry, and we're very thorough, but because the mass market and the no one around us charges, it's very difficult to, and it's the perception and the education of the people that are buying, unfortunately don't value, a lot do and some do, but they don't expect to pay and they don't value it. They'll pay an architect, and an architect won't start without payment, but we haven't got the education and the CPD, the continuous development that they have. It's disappointing. It's something we want to change, but it's very difficult in the UK, and I guess by the question you've got a similar thing in your country, because it does take a lot of time, effort and money, and we do get that across to our customers. We don't give anything away. We don't allow anyone to take stuff away, and we don't email our designs. Our rules are there is a cost to the design, and the cost is to come back and see the design in the showroom and go through it and have it taken through and take the time. And then if they want the plans before, or they're trying to buy our design and buy those plans, they do have to purchase it. So at that stage, the design is purchasable, and I think most people in the UK have that policy. They don't really give away plans and any technical knowledge. But yeah, no, unfortunately not yet. To charge and design make my life a lot easier.
Good. We've got a question from Bronwyn. She's asking, how important is quality hardware in the UK market versus the outer material aesthetic?
I mean, quality, I think with what's happened over the last few months, the beauty for us is it's opened a lot of people's eyes. Everyone was on the almost on the hamster wheel with their eyes blinkered, and there was a lot of products bought, and not so much, not 100% for kitchens, but there was a lot of products bought for throwaway society, and we're buying something that we don't expect to last as long, where before we were always expecting something to last, and we'd be very, very disappointed if it didn't. What COVID has done in our market, I think, is open. People have got off that hamster wheel a little bit. They've had more time to research, and quality. What we're seeing come through the door is quality is high on their high on the agenda, and dealing with independents and local businesses is really on the agenda, which is fantastic for us. It's probably made everyone just stop and think a little bit. Why are we buying so many products from China when there's a quality person 5 minutes down the road? But aesthetics will still be very, very key to most. We have to make sure the function is right, but aesthetics, especially in our business, is very, very key, and they would just expect quality to be there, to be honest.
Good. Justin asks, what design packages do you guys use?
There's quite a few in the UK. I don't know how many transfer. They're quite. I mean, I think ArtiCAD is one that's more UK based, but there's 2020 and CompuSoft Winner that is probably internationally recognised, and Google SketchUp is starting to be. It's a lot more long-winded in Google SketchUp, and there's not necessarily products available like on other catalogues where you can download the catalogue you want. but the quality of Google SketchUp is scarily good, and I've seen quite a few designers using that. Probably 2020 and CompuSoft for us is the biggest one. We personally use CompuSoft and find that very, very good.
Good stuff. Karen, she asked, do you have any tips or tricks to share about how to maximize space when designing for a smaller, compact kitchen?
Well, it's funny, a small kitchen pretty much needs the same as a large kitchen. When a customer comes in and sometimes on value thinks, you know, because they've got a small kitchen, you've still got, you know, you've still got a strip out, you've still got a lighting, you may got 4 lights instead of 8 lights, but you've still got the electrician there, you've still got the ovens and the hob and the hood and the sink and the dishwasher and whichever else coming through. So that it is quite a challenge sometimes, a small space, and certainly it turns you on as a designer. The real you know, the size is a real issue at times, because you've got so much to get into a small space. But I think for us, the ability to have bespoke sizes, I don't know if that's, you've got a lot of ability over there, but all my manufacturers allow me to make bespoke sizes without, you know, huge expense in price. So if I need a 280 wide, 280 millimeter wide unit instead of a 300 to make that work, it works. There's 150 pullouts. We've got 200 mil pullouts. We've just done a really small kitchen, and we've got 2 150 pullouts around the oven space, and actually what's in there is all the spices, all the oils. And so zonally for her, when she's cooking, everything is available to her. But I think on a smaller space, you just have to be a little bit clever, and you probably have to think a lot more about it. And like I would probably put my starting point. I mean, we do a lot of design. I mean, it's similar to my office there, where the units run across and the extractor's hidden, but making sure you use every space. So within that unit, we'd panel it out so the extractor's hidden, but shelve it as much as possible. So even if that's just oils and spices coming through, we'd try and use every space available, and bespoke doors certainly allow that to happen. But the availability of product in the UK really helps us when we work on small kitchens.
Another interesting question from Stephanie. Do you use your own in-house installers? And if so, how do you ensure that they stay up to date with the latest technology? We use subcontracted. I think most of our market do. We have certain companies and certain independents that have employed fitters, but our fitters specifically don't really want to be tied down that much. When we had them in the past, I've always wanted to do their own kitchens and their friends' kitchens and have more time off to do that, and it become more of an issue. And if there's downtime, you're paying huge expense out, and you've got the vans and everything else. So all our guys are self-employed. Luckily, in some ways, they all love their typical boy. They always like the latest tools, and they're always sharing with each other what latest tool they've got and what that's doing for them. And again, it's not necessarily laziness. We're all busy in life, but something that's saving them time and effort these days is they want to have it in their van and on their toolkit. But
they are self-employed. The key for this is having a, for us in the UK, we have to make sure we have their, they are insured and we have copies of their insurance for our own insurance, because we're not covered for a self-employed. It states that. So having a clear contract between a self-employed is invaluable, really. And making sure there are other things. If you're only using those fitters for yourself, you have to be careful with them being classed as employed and not self-employed. So it does open up a few cans of worms, but I would say the majority, even the big players, the majority are self-employed fitters in the UK.
Karen asks, how much importance do you place on the kitchen triangle theory?
So my background for a few years before I got into kitchens was chefing, and we have a Grand Designs exhibition. I've done the talk a couple of times about the death of the working triangle. The working triangle obviously has a relevance in any kitchen, and you don't want to have the sink at one end of the room, the hob at the other end of the room, and lots of obstacles in between. The way we work in our showroom is very much individual to the client. So for me, I'm quite happy to have the fridge at one end, and in my kitchen, the fridge is at one end, because the way I work and how I was trained is I get the food out of the fridge. I want my hob and sink close to each other, and I prep. I put the stuff back away. I've got all my prep food and I cook. I don't have a lot of frozen food, so when I'm designing the kitchen for myself, I want a big fridge. I'm not too worried about freezer space. I want a big sink for prep and for cleaning. And the key for me is that the synergy between the sink and the hob, ease of clean, and everything available. So zoning things. I know Blum talk a lot about zoning in the UK, and I guess they do the same over there. So, you know, I don't want to be walking for my utensils for the hob. I want to be able to open that. I don't want to be walking for my serving plate, so I want to cook and serve. And the key for us is gaining that information out of the client, and so we can make it personal to them. I think if you look at the working triangle too much and ignore what the customer, how the customer works and how their life works, won't make for a good kitchen for the client. And everyone's different. Some people, you know, batch cook and freeze a lot, and they may need a smaller fridge and a bigger freezer. And I think gaining that information out of the customer, and it does again depend on that open plan living, because what we try to do with open plan is almost keep guests and other hands out the kitchen. So if they're coming into the kitchen to get a drink, you don't want them sort of having to move out the way of the hob or the sink to get to the fridge. So the key is to build the space based on if it's an open plan or if it's closed kitchen, where the doors are, where your main entrance is, and how they use the space, from entertaining to cooking, and how their lifestyle works, really. So I put less importance on the working triangle, more on the individual person's needs, really.
Good. Okay. When you deliver kitchens, are units fitted with fronts and hinges and runners, or is it completed on site? Is it flatback?
Well, all of ours are complete. Two of our manufacturers also drill for handles as well. If we tell them how we want it set up, so most of it's complete. Occasionally we'll get a dry assembled unit or a flat pack unit, so we can adapt it on site. But most of our kitchens are complete. I don't like putting stuff together because there's an ability for things to get damaged in transit. There's the ability for things to be missing. or the wrong item put together, especially if you're bringing in carcasses from one company and maybe doors from the other. We've still got quite a few companies that make their own carcasses, buy in doors, but they would still assemble before they go to site. There's very few these days that have even flat pack delivered to site. Most of it is complete kitchens, to be fair.
Good. What are some of the most exciting trends for tiles and backsplashes at the moment? Are there any new materials on the market?
Well, polished plaster and micro cements are becoming quite popular, and they're available in multitudes of finishes and colours, and the ability to make them smooth or coarse or however you want. They're coming into the market quite a bit. They are waxed, and you can wash them down and things like that. We're seeing quite a trend for that. Lots of different glass. I mean, again, matte glass. But what we're doing a lot in the UK is there's recycled glass. There's a few companies that are doing a process when they heat up the glass, they're then putting it on a mold so they can create brick effect or shapes, print on glass. And to be honest, tiles, we don't do a lot in kitchens for backsplashes just because of the grout lines and things, but floor tiles, herringbone and marbles and things are very popular. Herringbone across all markets really, I say old-fashioned, don't want to say old-fashioned, but sort of pattern tiles have come in for the floors. What you probably have originally in a 1700, 1800 house, the sort of handmade traditional tiles are becoming a bit more a part of the mass market and an impact tile. But for splashbacks, mirror again and toughened mirror is coming through. But I would still say a lot of our jobs we're doing is either matching to the worktop in whichever finish that is, the Corians, because people are toning their kitchens and they've got dual tones in the kitchens, and then they don't want too many different finishes going through the worktop and the handles and the backsplash. So we're doing a lot of whether that's a sintered stone or a quartz, and quartz is very popular, and running this either upstands or full backsplashes behind glass is very popular. But people are very challenging in the UK, and they find different products, and so we'll go with the trends, and you could have a brass splashback. Not everything is that practical, but still the most popular is your quartz and your glass. Splashbacks, the lower end of the market is still tiles, but glass is probably the biggest through because of the ease, the colours, the printing that comes through.
Finally, Stephanie asks, what are the standard payment terms in the UK, or is each company different?
It goes back to that an Englishman's house is his castle, that pretty much we can set what we want. Most UK independents would take between 90 and 100% before we start the kitchen, some on delivery, some prior to delivery. Within the KBSA, we offer payment protection to consumers, part of an insurance scheme that our members can use. That limits the deposit at 25% to place the order of the kitchen. Personally, we take 25% deposit, and then we take 65% 7 days prior We don't take it on start anymore because the amount of people that were saying, "Oh, I've just got to transfer that out of this account," they give a check that takes 5 days to clear, and things like that. So we now take it 7 days prior, so we're clear with 90% of our funds before we go and start taking out a kitchen. That leaves us 10% on completion. A lot of people would have 5% or 0% on completion to mitigate the risk from their side, and not allow customers to hold back huge sums of money for maybe a replacement door that's needed, or a piece of glass or something like that. Because the UK, you know, if you left 50% at the end and there was a scratch on the door, you had a completely complete kitchen, my terms and conditions would say payment is due, but customers are very, very keen to keep that money until the final door or the final polish is done, and so I guess that's mitigating the risk. But most would take at least a 25% deposit. Some of the hand builds take 40 or 50% because they're buying and making the kitchen, buying the materials and making the kitchen. But definitely getting most or all of the money before we start is the norm across our market.
Good stuff.
Is there any other questions, or can we let Richard and Alistair get back to their busy schedules? Don't see anything else coming through, but a huge thank you to you both, and for giving up your time. I think it was immensely valuable for our members to see how the other side operates and work, and to know that we're not too far behind the curve. And yeah, I really hope that we get to do this again sometime down the future, and that we can continue to keep in touch and see how we can learn from one another. Thanks to all of you who attended, and again, thank you very much, Alistair and Richard. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, guys.
Take care.
Okay, bye.
Bye.